Hey, Sports World. This is Alex from the Just Go For It podcast. The first section we'll talk about is our throwback section. So, our question for our throwback section is, who do you think was the better receiver when they played for the Bengals? Chad Ochocinco or Jamar Chase? I'd say Jamar Chase. Chad Ochocinco was good his rookie year, but he wasn't like Jamar Chase's rookie year. So I got to give it to Jamar. He's already on a good start. He's already had a 1,000-yard season and probably might have another 1,000-yard season. I think they found the right. I think in the beginning of Chad Johnson or Ochocinco's career, they didn't have a good consistent quarterback just yet. And I think once they went to Carson Palmer, it started to feel like a quarterback and wide receiver duo. And I gotta say, ever since then, it started to be like Chad Johnson was, Ochocinco was really good. That's how he got all these different nicknames. And yeah, I definitely think Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow were the better quarterback and receiver duo. I put them in first place in the 2000s decade. I put first is Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I honestly put the Ochocinco and Carson Palmer duo second, and third place is the Andy Dalton and AJ Green quarterback and receiver duo. I mean, like, they've had a lot of good of them in the recent 2000s. Our current news is on how I read an article recently. It was by the Raider Ramble on how Josh McDaniels is giving the Derek Carr 2017 "Put It All on Me." My opinion personally is Josh McDaniels isn't a good coach. I think Derek Carr can be a good quarterback, but is not. And I've realized about Derek Carr is ever since his injury in 2016, he didn't really look good. But they still decided to commit to him and obviously sign him in this big contract this offseason. And I think people are just getting annoyed with that because they haven't really won a lot ever since his injury and ever since 2017 pretty much. And it's just like something that they want to see happen differently, which I totally understand. Josh McDaniels, I would technically say, is ass, and he hasn't been good when he's been coaching. I think he definitely got carried by Bill Belichick because he was in that system. So, and ever since all these different NFL coaches or his coordinators that turned into NFL coaches wasn't good when they got their opportunity to coach. And I can name a couple, but like Matt Patricia, he was their defensive coordinator for under Bill Belichick, and Joe Judge was a special teams coordinator under Bill Belichick, and you see that they haven't really produced well as a head coach. And then he also stated in that article that they obviously stated too much, and he definitely wrote about how Derek Carr is an emotional quarterback because recently you've seen Derek Carr tear up in the press conference. I mean, if you're in the NFL, it's hard to be an emotional quarterback and expect to see your peers agree with that. Yeah, so I definitely feel Derek Carr has not been the best quarterback since that year when he got, injured. And I definitely think he recently talked about him being in the organization about using the phrase, he didn't use about the organization, he used about his playing style. He was pissed off, and I could understand. I think that Josh McDaniels' speeches in the locker room were starting to get annoying. I think that all they care about really is winning, and they haven't been able to do that. I think even when Josh McDaniels says put it all on me, I think he should put the criticism on his players too for playing inconsistent. And I think at that 98-yard drive, I saw that highlights, and I just saw a bunch of penalties and a bunch of big plays. I mean, he's not good on a resume because he's lost to a coach with no coaching experience when they played the Colts, and he lost to a quarterback who only knew that system for not even 2 days, 40 hours at most. And that's just not something that I would want to be remembered as, like, as a head coach. And I think that, like, no one would remember that if he was winning and he had a couple bad losses. But since they're not winning, it's hard to, like, forget about that. And I know he coached in Denver, and he went in 2 years 11-17, 11 wins and 17 losses, and that's 28 games in total. I honestly didn't even know this, but he actually got fired for filming a walkthrough in a game against the 49ers. They were going to play in London, and they filmed a walkthrough, and he got fired for pretty much cheating. And then I didn't even know that's why, and I just found out. And I just think that's unbelievable that he didn't even get fired for bad coaching. He just got fired because he was filming a walkthrough. I thought it was the different way around. I think that the thing that could be questionable during the offseason was when they signed Derek Carr to an extension, which was a 3-year extension worth $121.5 million. So the extension was worth that much. I think that I wouldn't say they overpaid him, but I definitely think that the contract could have been at his playing style, because that's a hard. Everyone was talking about how that division was going to be hard. I think the NFC East division is hard with the Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders, and that division is pretty hard. No one expected the Giants to, even though they've lost a couple of their last games, I definitely think that they're still not bad. They definitely changed a lot of people's minds about them this year. I think that Daniel Jones, their quarterback, has not been playing that bad that everybody expected. And that's what I kind of want to see, like, Derek Carr do that and, like, prove people wrong. Like, but, like, he just hasn't been doing that all that much. And I want to see him, like, I wish Derek Carr the best, but I want to see him look like the 2016 Derek Carr. And if I don't know what's going to happen for him. If they draft another quarterback, then it's kind of getting towards the end for Derek Carr. I definitely and absolutely, I felt like he hasn't, like, really looked the same. And his stats from that year, he had 3,937 passing yards, 28 passing touchdowns, and 6 interceptions with a 96.7 quarterback rating. And that's pretty good. And he only played in 15 games that year because he got injured in the middle game in Week 16 against the Colts. And then you knew that good season of his was coming to an end, but no one probably expected, since he was so young that time, that this was going to be like an end of an era, pretty much. Like, not an end of an era, but, like, you wouldn't see the same Derek Carr. And then I started. I definitely don't think I made a bad decision by starting Justin Herbert over Justin Herbert over Derek Carr. Justin Herbert, Derek Carr had 2.58 fantasy points, which 137 passing yards and 2 interceptions. And he was on my bench this week because he plays, I think Justin Herbert, I would honestly start him over it, and he's honestly starting to follow the brick of competing with those good quarterbacks in this division, which makes it harder for the Raiders to win. But I definitely, even though I've talked about those, bad, inconsistent playing by the way how the Raiders defense, usually their cornerbacks play, or defensive backs. I definitely think the time where I was okay with or not really okay, but understood when a coach put the blame on themselves is Nick Sirianni when they had 10 false start penalties around that, or almost 10 false start penalties, and that was pretty not pretty bad, but I think I understood it more because they were winning, and that did affect them, but not really, because they were still scoring points and still had over 30 points that game. And false start penalties can reduce a lot your chances of scoring a lot of points. But he's winning though, so no one's gonna criticize him. I think that's the difference between Josh McDaniels, is that he's not winning, he's losing, and against other teams. And Raiders were supposed to be really good this year, and they turned out to not be good. Inconsistent and not really good to, fun to watch. And our highlights of Week 14 was Jalen Hurts' big game. He had 29 out of 31, 21 completions and 31 attempted, 217 passing yards with he averaged around 7.0 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And he had a quarterback rating of 109.2 and got sacked 4 times. I wouldn't fall the sacks on him, more on the offensive line, but he played well. He looked comfortable in the pocket. That deep ball to Devontae Smith, where 2 defenders fell down, it was like Julian Love and some other guy. I think that play was really good. I think Jalen Hurts has proved a lot of people wrong this year. That's kind of when I want to see more of Derek Carr. I think that there's a good chance he'll get signed to an extension in the offseason. And I definitely think... All right, so next topic is owner news. So the big topic is about NFL needs to continue accelerator programs this week, owner meetings to improve top-level diversity hirings. I think this more was about Dan Snyder, about how people felt being treated in that organization, especially, women who worked under his staff or / team. I definitely think that it's been a lot of drama with Dan Snyder. I think that they just need to improve and get a better culture around that team. I think they got good players, but I think things are holding them back. Like this organization are holding us back from doing something good. And definitely our highlights of this podcast, of the Just Go For It podcast. So our highlights / or big plays was Baker Mayfield's throw to Van Jefferson to win the game. That was a really good throw. I definitely noticed about that play that he felt comfortable in the pocket. He definitely was right on the money with it too. And it definitely was a good throw, and definitely was probably one of the best throws of Week 14 of the NFL season. A 98-yard drive, when the punter for the Raiders, AJ Cole, punted it in the 2-yard line. I thought it's probably gonna be tough. Raiders might get this win, and it turns out Baker Mayfield, man, he looked different from his time with the Browns and the Panthers. And I knew after that, I just think he needs to be in a good system when it comes to quarterbacks, because they've had over 30 starting quarterbacks since 1999, and I think that shows where the Browns organization is at. They're really inconsistent when it comes to quarterbacks, because not a lot of quarterbacks start that much. I definitely think another big highlight was Tyreek Hill's 2 touchdowns, the 1 received touchdown and the 1 fumble touchdown. I definitely think about that play is that I think that the Chargers, when he scored those 2 touchdowns, I think it was just more of missed tackles and inconsistent of making sure because they were all going for the ball, But the problem is if the offense gets it, they usually probably will end up scoring if everyone's in the pile and he's just running on the turf alone. I definitely think those are shows about the Chargers is that defense is not good. Offense can be explosive, just can't. But like I think if they had a good defense, they could have won a lot of these games. And I definitely got to say, his one receiving touchdown was really good. I think that Tua has played a lot better, but needs to play better when it comes to December because it's playoff time, and I know they want to make the playoffs, and I know Tyreek Hill does because if he misses the playoffs, this will be the first time in his career missing the playoffs for sure. I definitely think. The hot take of the Week 14 week was that the Lions were favored to win a game against a 10-2 team in the Minnesota Vikings. I definitely think, like, man, that was pretty. I was pretty like unsure about that, but like once I saw that game, I kind of was like, you know what, people are not wrong, like because you know. They were one of the worst defenses when it comes to yards per carry or yards per play, and in the NFL, and that shows why they gave up that one big fake touch, fake punt, big play, couple missed tackles, and he got a first down. I think that just shows how inconsistent their special teams and defense was. I think that the offense was really good, with Justin Jefferson over 200 receiving yards. I think that he helped. The offense didn't look as bad as they should have, but I definitely think that they need to be more consistent on defense and stop those big plays. I think if they do that, it's going to hurt them during playoff time too, when it matters the most, because when you come to playoffs, you get all the top tier teams. And I know that if the Eagles are doing well in the playoffs, they're going to have a chance to go up against them. See you next episode on episode 2. Bye.